Hi, and welcome back to day 8 of test-driven development with phpspec for the advent of code. Today's challenge is we've got, it's called matchsticks, and we've got limited space on the sleigh. So Santa's bringing his list as a digital copy, which you may think, well, that takes care of the space problem, but in fact this is all about figuring out digital space. So we've got the code representation of characters that we need to be concerned about, as well as the actual in-memory size of those strings. So the examples here they've got is an empty string, or quote quote, is 2 characters to representing code, the actual string contains 0 characters, or the string ABC is 5 characters of code, but we don't track the quotes when we're actually storing that in memory, so it's 3 characters of string data. And the problem wants us to figure out what's the number of characters for the code representation of the string literals minus the number of characters in memory for the values of the strings. And then we'll be given a whole bunch of strings and need to calculate the difference. So this is the input I have. It's a whole bunch of quotes with some escaped characters and so on. In let's see, in here we've got only like here we've got an escaped hex character, so it's going to turn, it's going to essentially turn this \x27 into the ASCII equivalent, and count that when it's actually stored in memory, even though it's encoded some other way. So like here's an example right here. So we've got \x70, and that's going to turn into some ASCII character. So let's get started. Alright, let's go into full screen so it'll make it a little bit easier to see for everyone, hopefully. And first thing we want to do is I think I'm gonna go about this one with an immutable class. So I want to construct it with the string that we're going to build, and then we're going to be able to get the count of the code characters and the count of the non-code characters from it, and then the puzzle part will iterate over a bunch of these and make new classes, and we can ask questions and all that. So let's get started. First thing we need to do is go ahead and describe the class. So we've got day 8, and we'll call it char count, and let's run it. And create that class. So I've already got the input copied in here. Here's my spec, and here's my code. So we've got a few examples for strings that we can use for testing, and I'm going to take advantage of those. So let's do the blank string first. So we've got public function it counts blank string as 2 code characters. Alright, so we'll do this be constructed with blank string, and this get code count should be 2. Alright, let's run that. Okay, created our constructor, and the other thing for us too, our constructor is going to take our string, we're going to store it. We'll do it all through PHP Storm magic. Hooray, all done. Alright, so we've now got our string assigned. We're not going to allow changing this string on the class. We're going to make a new class every time we need to count a string. So we need to do our code count, and our code count for this is pretty simple because we're passing in that value. So we'll do, I think we could just do return strlen for this string. Let's see if that works. Missing argument 1. Okay, so I need to build it first in my spec, right? So right here, we'll go ahead and build it here instead of using a let. So be constructed with, we'll do the blank string there as well. And now those are passing. Okay, let's make sure we've got some other good examples. So we've got, let's do ABC as 5 characters of code. It counts string ABC as 5 characters of code. So this be constructed with, and it doubled my stuff. Let's get rid of some of those extras. And this get code count should be 5. And it is, so far so good. Alright, so now this is probably one that'll break it a little bit. So we're going to pass in AAA with an embedded with an embedded quote. Good grief, can't think right now. Almost Christmas, and I'm trying to catch up on some of these videos for y'all. Alright, so it counts embedded quotes string as 10 characters of code. So add that in there. I'm going to wrap this in quotes. This get code count should be 10. Alright, so far that's okay. The code count one is pretty straightforward. The character count one is where I think we're going to run into some things that we need to change about stuff. Alright, so first off, let's do that with the blank one. I'll put it right here. We'll do it counts blank string as 0 characters. Alright, this be constructed with blank string, and we'll do get char count should be 0. Okay, and that fails because even though we created it now, it's not returning anything. So we need to make that work. So to make it count that string as 0, everything coming in, so everything in the list has got double quotes on it. So I think we can just do a trim on that. So we'll do string equals this string, and then we'll do string equals trim string, and we want to trim off the double quotes. So that's how we're going to do that. And then we will do return strlen of string. Alright, so that works for the blank string. Let's add some more spec that makes that fail. Alright, so our next one we've got is ABC. We'll just make sure that one's still working. It should be. Counts ABC string as 3 characters. Now I'm going to copy that. Now do this get char count should be 3. We'll run it. Alright, so that one's working. That's a pretty standard one. This one I think is going to be a little bit different. So let's copy this line. I'll do it. Let's see, what are we going to call this? This is an embedded quote. Counts escaped characters as 1 character. This, I already copied it, paste that, get rid of a variable. Alright, this get char count should be, and according to this, 6 characters, or 7 total, because that one's escape, right? So should be 7, and I think we should get a failure here. Alright, we do. Awesome. Okay, so we want to deal with embedded quotes or escaped quotes, right? So we can do another bit of, or a new bit, not another. We'll say string equals stir replace. And we've got our search will be for \quote, except for, because we're passing this in, we need, I think we need to double escape it. Let's give it a shot though, let's see what happens. And we're going to replace it with just a single quote, and we're going to do that on string. Let's run it and see if that helps. Okay, that may be all we needed for that. So by single quoting here and then escaping it, we don't need to double escape that. If I had double quoted here, then I would need to have \\\\. So the first set would escape a backslash, and then the second would escape the quote, and then we would end up with \quote. And you can probably see where this problem, this day of Advent code is, or Advent of code is going with that. So, all right, let's do another one. So we've got char count spec. Let's get another example. So our next example we've got is an embedded hex code. And let's do it counts code with embedded hex correctly. Alright, this be constructed with, and we'll escape, or we'll wrap that whole thing. Alright. We'll do this get code count. We'll do them both in here. So 6 characters of code. So it should be 6, and this get char count should be, I think it's just 1, right? 1, yep. Alright, so we got past the first part, we failed on the second part. So what we need to do is find embedded hex and replace it with something. So we can do string equals preg replace, and we'll put in a pattern. We'll come back to that in a minute. And for this, all we're doing right now is the count. So we don't really care, for this code anyway, we don't really care if it's taking the hex code and treating it as the correct equivalent. We just care that it's a single value. So I'm going to just go ahead and replace that with %, and our subject is going to be string, and then our pattern is where this gets all sorts of fun. So instead of doing slashes, I'm going to do $signs for my delimiters, and you can do all sorts of different delimiters for regex as long as they match. It doesn't really seem to care so much. And then I want to find a \x, and then I want to find some capture group that I don't really care about, but I want to find 0 through 9 or A through F 2 times, and let's get rid of that. So I've got hopefully a \x followed by hex. The hex characters either 0 through 9 or A through F 2 times, whatever they may be. And we're going to find any of those, and we're going to replace them with the % character. And let's run that and see if it works. It may or may not. Alright, it did not. So we're not matching. And I suspect it's because of this escape here. So we need to double escape this one. So we'll put in 2 more. Let's see if that works. There we go. So in this case, it is interpreting this in the regex as something else. And we want it to interpret it as a literal backslash followed by an X. And so we escape the first one, and then this next one we don't. And actually, I wonder if I can just get rid of that and just do backslash backslash. Nope, I cannot. So it has to be 3. All right. Let's see. Do we have any other weird things? Looks like no. I don't think so. Let's do one more test just to make sure that this is going to work how I want it to before we run it on the big set of code. So we'll do it counts code with multiple embedded hex correctly. So we'll do this be constructed with, and we'll do x27, x35 or whatever. I don't know if that actually means anything in particular. If it does and it's weird, I apologize. If it doesn't, it's because it doesn't matter for this test. So we'll do get code count, and that should be, we added 4 more characters, so it should be 10. And this get char count should be 2. Let's see if it works. Only if I spell things properly. So it's not char count. Char count. There we go. So it works. It'll deal with both of them. All right. We can also do a helper function, I suppose, so that our puzzle doesn't have to do the subtraction. And we'll do it will get the difference between code and character counts. Alright, this be constructed with blank string. This get character difference should be 2. And we create the function. Let's go in there and we'll say return this get code count minus this get char count. Hooray! All right, we'll do one more here. Let's do this one, and this get character difference should be 8. You cannot change the object construction method when it's already instantiated. Good to know. So we'll make another one. So do it will get difference for hex string. There we go. And we're good. So let's make our puzzle here real quick. So phpspec describe day 7 puzzle 1. All right. And day 7. It's not day 7. Oh no, I just overwrote it. Actually, that's okay because I didn't have any code in there. So day 8. Let's try that. And now let's run it. Need to pay more attention to the error messages there. All right, puzzle 1 spec. It's there. That's all we're doing with it. Puzzle 1 code. Let's make our invoke. All right. So we're going to loop through each of these inputs and create objects for each of them. We're going to ask each of the objects what's the difference. We're going to keep track of that, summing that up as we go, and then output the result. So let's get our input. So we'll do file, dir input day 8 input.text. We'll loop over the input as line. Okay, and let's get a place to hold our total. Total is 0. And we'll do total plus equals, no, I'm not going to do it in one shot. Well, maybe I will. We'll decide in a second. So for each of these lines, I need to make a new instance of this thing. So we're going to do new char count, and we're going to pass in the line. And then we'll wrap that all in a parenthesis so we can call a method on it, get character difference. And we're going to send all of that into total using plus equals. So we're going to add in whatever we get, and then we'll do echo total difference total and some new lines. Alright, according to my puzzle, the answer I got was 1333. Let's see how well I've done this. So we'll run it. PHP runner day 8 puzzle 1. Not so well. Alright, so we've got some differences happening here that I need to be able to deal with. Let's take a look at the input and see if there's something else that I've forgotten. Oh, here we go. Probably this. So I've got backslashes that I don't have encoded. So I need to make sure that those are working properly. Alright, back to the spec. Alright, so it will encode double backslash properly. Okay. We'll do this be constructed with double backslash, so that will be one character of code. I will do get code count, should be 4. This get char count should be 1. Let's see if that works. Does not. So we'll go back in here and we'll do another string replace. So we'll do string equals stir replace. In this case we want to do double backslash, but right here that's going to escape out that one, so we need a triple backslash. No, quadruple backslash. So each one escaping, each pair escapes into one. And we're going to replace that with a single backslash, except for we can't do a single backslash. We have to double escape that one to a double backslash, because escaping and all that is super fun. Alright, still no good. Let's see. Alright, let's find our hex characters first. And then if we have backslash quote, then we're going to replace that with a quote. That seemed to be working. And if we have a double backslash, then we're going to replace that with a single backslash. Let's see if I need to put that in there. Nope, that makes it worse. Alright, so part of the beauty of test-driven development is I can change the code and know if I've broken anything, and in that case I have. So let's see. I've got stir replace on 4 of these. I don't think this matters, but let's see. Does not. All right. So I think I figured it out. So here's the problem. My problem is my test. If we go back here, I've got my string that contains this escaped deal, but it's not enough escaped, so it's actually only one of those, and I want it to be 2, which means in order to do it inside of code as opposed to loading it from a file, I actually need 4, and that causes my stuff to pass. And let's see if we can give it another shot. So we'll do PHP runner day 8 puzzle 1. And there we get 1033, which I believe was the correct number, 1333. Alright, so I'm still off on something. What am I missing? Let's take a look at the input, see what other special weird things I haven't done yet. Alright, so we've got some backslashes, some quotes. I wonder if it's like this kind of thing. So trim on this, I think, is going to take away all of these. So I think we're going to end up with something that we don't want if it ends in backslash quote quote. See how often that happens. Let's see, does it tell me how many times? 11 times. Well, that accounts for some of it. Not 300 of them. Let's see, what else? Well, let's get a test in for that and make sure we're dealing with that properly. So we'll copy that over. Alright, so it will deal with escaped quote at end of string. Be constructed with, paste that in. Alright, this get code count should be, alright, we got 11. This get char count should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think 8 is what we're looking at. Alright, so according to this, it says it's handling it correctly, so I guess I was wrong there. Let's take a look at our input and see what else is missing. What else could it be? Honestly, I have no idea right now. Let me think about it for a bit. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to make another small file just with these and make sure that my puzzle runner is running appropriately. So if we ran all these 4 strings through that same thing, we should get an answer of 12. So let's see if that is working. Maybe I've screwed up something in puzzle. Let's make a new input file. Alright, first one we've got blank. Second one I think was ABC. Third one is AAA quote AAA. And the fourth one was hex 27. And we'll change the puzzle so that it's running small instead of input. And we should get 12 if we actually run it. We get 9. So there's something still screwed up. So we got total is 0. Get character difference. What am I messing up? There's something I'm doing wrong. Alright, let's do this. We'll say char, let's do counter equals new char count line. Code count equals counter get code char count is counter get char count, and we'll do the math right here. So code count minus char count. See if that makes any difference. Nope. So not only have I messed up something somewhere along the way, but I wrote tests that don't show what's happening correctly. Alright, so let's look at small. We've got quote quote. Let's do one at a time. How about that? There's our first one. 2. Alright. Now we should get 3, I believe. Or no, 2. 1? How do I get 1? Alright, something's definitely up. Let's go look at the spec again, because I could have sworn I did ABC in there. Alright, so ABC we got back 5 and 3. So we should definitely be getting 2, right? ABC and ABC. And somehow I'm not. Somehow I'm getting 5 minus 3 is 1. And that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we construct it, we get the code count, we get the char count, we subtract the 2, add that to total. So char count and code count should be 5 and 3 respectively. Well, in cases like this, I think maybe it's time to break out the debugger. So let's do that. So I got a breakpoint here, and let's do it. Alright, so my line I'm reading in is ABC. There's a new line stuck in there. Interesting. Maybe that's throwing me off. I wonder how many input lines I have. 300. Very interesting. I think perhaps I have found my issue. Alright, so let's do this. So we've got small. Small has that. Right. I think that's my problem. I think when it's coming in from the file, I think it's coming in with a bunch of new line characters, and we didn't test with those, so we need to get rid of those. Alright, so day 1, puzzle 1. Let's trim the line. That'll get rid of white space characters, which will include all of the junk that we don't care about. And let's try it again. I'm going to shut off the debugger, run it. 2. That seems better. Alright, let's go back to small, put back all the stuff, and see if we can get back to 12. I think it was 12. Yes, 12. Alright, there we go. Much better feeling about this now. Let's do input text, and we are looking for, again, 1333. Come on, 1333. There we go. Alright, so our input, I needed to trim each line because it's coming through when it's split through file. and it's got that in there. If I had loaded this through, say, file get contents and then split on new line, I don't think I would have had this problem. I think it would have just worked. So anyway, that's all for part 1, and we'll come back here shortly and I'll get part 2 done. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you in a bit.